Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the panel for this opportunity to present on behalf of Sanofi-Aventis today. My name is Craig Audet. I am the Vice President of Regulatory Affairs for Marketed Products. My presentation is going to focus specifically on fulfilling the regulatory requirements when engaging in digital platforms associated with either limited space and or real-time discussions. But before I get into responding to FDA's specific question, I'd like to make a few opening remarks about social media and health information in general. As we all know, digital technology has, in a very relatively short period of time, permeated our culture, with the internet becoming the leading source of information for many people. These people can join online communities involving thousands of other folks seeking information on and wishing to discuss an unlimited number of topics. The boundaries and limitations associated with traditional media have given way to forums that allow for open exchange, contribution, and participation in an interactive environment. This new two-way method of communication has incredible potential to facilitate the dissemination and discussion of competent and accurate health information. In fact, people in the United States are increasingly utilizing the internet to access health information. And we heard a little bit earlier today some statistics from the Pew Internet Health Survey. The one that I like is that 83% of internet users look online for health information. 83% of internet users. That's huge if you think about the numbers involved there. I know I've done it. I bet you, and on more than one occasion, I bet just about everybody in this room, more than 83% in this room, I bet, have done the same thing. But unfortunately, the main concern, or a big concern, with this abundance of readily made information is the source, the quality, and the credibility of that information. And I can give you a little personal anecdote on that. I can remember a little while back, my mother-in-law was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And my wife, when my wife heard about this on the phone call, I could hear the questions that were going back and forth. And when she got off that phone, she made a beeline for the computer and spent hours researching those questions and trying to get answers. And she came away less than satisfied. Although she did get a lot of information on the disease state and some treatment options, she didn't get answers to those specific questions she was looking for. And what we found out after the fact as time went on is some of the information she did get was definitely a little bit suspect. So, there's a very personal example of exactly what we're discussing here today. Now, Sanofi-Aventis has always considered itself to be a healthcare company, not a pharmaceutical company. And as such, we've historically strived to provide information not only on treatment options, but also on disease management and prevention, providing tools to healthcare professionals and to patients to manage that whole disease, right? The whole patient, the whole disease. We're not just trying to sell drugs. And engagement in social media, from our perspective, provides an unprecedented opportunity to engage, to listen, to provide meaningful health information to those who are looking for it. Engaging in these online communities allows healthcare companies, such as Sanofi, to interact with patients, with caregivers, with healthcare professionals who are seeking health and product information when and where they're looking for it. That's important, when and where they're looking for it. As authoritative sources of medical product information and the conditions for which our products are indicated, it's appropriate that healthcare companies contribute to this dialogue, that we participate in these communities in order to provide accurate and complete information. So now I'd like to move to addressing FDA-specific question number 2. How can regulated industry meet its regulatory obligations when engaging in platforms associated with space or character limitations, as well as how can these same requirements be met in the context of real-time discussions? And when I say regulatory requirements, the ones I'm specifically addressing are the ones you see on the slide. Statement of the product's full indication and important risk information, providing fair balance of benefit and risk information, providing ready access to the product's full prescribing information, and lastly, submitting all promotion materials to DDMAC at the time of initial dissemination, which, as you can imagine, can be an obvious dilemma in the context of real-time communications. So first, 2 definitions. When I refer to online communities in this presentation, I'm referring to any discussion forum, and you can see some of them listed on the slide, When I refer to microblog, I mean any online community where space or characters are limited, and Twitter's 140 character limit is a perfect example of that. I'll address that a little later on. So first I'd like to talk about disclosure of indication and risk information. And this, what I'm talking about here is real-time discussions with product claims. So we would assume this to be promotional. If we look at this in the context of a company site, meaning a site that's wholly created and controlled by a company, or a company page on a third-party site, like a Facebook page or a YouTube channel, we believe that compliance can be achieved by incorporating those static elements you see listed on the slide: indication, full indication, important safety information, and the package insert, a link to the package insert. Now, this should not be interpreted as a suggestion that promotional postings don't also require that additional scrutiny to make sure they're in compliance with other regulations, such as claim substantiations and so forth. This presentation does not address that specific aspect. If we were to move to a third-party online community that has character limitations, such as Twitter, what we would recommend is that any company have a company page on that site with the same static elements that were listed previously in order to provide that balance of information. With a third-party online community where there is no space limitation, although a company page could be appropriate, we feel that you could take a DTC broadcast ad-like approach, where you would state the indication within the post, within the communication, that back-and-forth communication. You would have a major statement, and that major statement would be equal to pertinent risk information based on the claims being made. That's a key point. Pertinent risk information based on the claims being made. So not full risk information, full important safety information, but to balance those claims that are being made. Yet you would have an adequate provision-like aspect where you could have a link to the brand website, a toll-free telephone number, and a statement to encourage visitors to consult with their physician for additional information. And of course that website would contain the full important safety information as well as the package insert. I'd like to move to filing of these materials via Form FDA 2253 at the time of initial dissemination. We think that for company sites or third-party online communities with a company page, that it would be appropriate to submit the static elements from the site that we spoke of, any proactive promotional company postings that are going to be made, any URL for DDMAC's benefit so they can view the site should they choose to. What we think should not be submitted, or doesn't need to be submitted, are any visitor postings in response to a proactive company posting, as well as the back and forth dialogue that then occurs. And the reason why we don't think that this needs to be submitted is we liken it to a situation where you provide a sales representative with a set of promotional materials, send them out into the field. Those initial materials are sent to DDMAC on 2253. However, the subsequent conversation that sales representative has with a healthcare professional is not transcribed and submitted to DDMAC. We see this as the same sort of thing. An alternative to that would be to batch submit the discussion threads, although we don't recommend it. And that would be on perhaps a weekly or monthly basis. For third-party online communities with no company page, we think that any proactive promotional company posting should be provided to DDMAC on 2253. But again, not the static elements of the site, because the company does not control that, nor should the dialogue back and forth on that site be sent.